Hey everybody, welcome. Hey everybody, welcome to the Fanatics of Film. And this is just a quick video to kind of let you know I appreciate all the new subscribers. I appreciate you so much. A lot of people are getting shut down. In case you, just so you know, I mean, a lot of people are being shut down for being truthers, for telling the truth, for exposing these things. Anyone who even talks about the SEAL Team 6 thing and all that stuff on Facebook are getting shut down. So my next video on that is going to be extremely careful. I'm going to be very careful about it because apparently people have been shut down for less. So what do we do to continue to allow ourselves to thrive and live and survive on YouTube while we do these things? We try to do a variety of things. We try to keep the variety going where we do different types of news so that it's not this centralized focus thing that everybody kind of jumps to. That's the reason I do, at least that's my strategy at this point, and that's what I'm attempting. We'll see what happens. I have no idea. We're going to find out. But this video, MAGA Country, is hilarious. I recommend you strongly checking this video out right here. This video, because it is hilarious. The directorial debut, all the comments are so funny about Jussie Smollett's new directorial debut that he's going to be directing a movie about, which I'm sure will be it might even be a good movie. But the funniest part about all this is that no one would believe him, even if it was a truth-telling documentary. When you start out as the never cry wolfer, then you deem yourself you've lost your credibility, and that's the sad part about it. This next one I wanted to show you. Excuse the noise here. The next one I wanted to show you is this one, The Boys. That's a good video. Check it out. Anyway, and of course, we did just recently get a video on my this is the video on my it's hard to see, sorry, I'm just trying this new stuff. This is my this is our latest music video about the deep state and Trump and all that stuff. So anyway, all right, so we're going to move on to the news here. Okay, so this is good stuff. Newsweek has been impressing me with some of their material here. Donald Trump hints at more stuff coming out about Joe Biden's son, and so President Donald Trump has hinted that more damning news is forthcoming about the Democratic rival Joe Biden's son, Hunter, with fewer than 3 weeks left until Election Day. The New York Post reported this week that a Delaware computer repair shop owner found emails and other information on Hunter Biden's laptop that was dropped off in April 2019 but was never picked up. Trump's lawyer and former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani gave the emails to the Post that has been released more information, including text messages on his own website. I hear they have stuff coming out that you wouldn't believe, Trump told a rowdy crowd in North Carolina just hours after the New York Post released its second report on email suggesting Hunter Biden used his father's position as vice president for his own financial benefit. And that's just actually really funny too, because it's like you'd think that they would, maybe just do things that are legitimate. I mean, there's all this stuff. There's this whole money scandal going on with China and Hunter. It's just funny. It's like you'd think that, well, I have access to all these possibilities within my life. It's like my brother's the vice president. That means I could probably do a lot of great stuff that's legitimate. Probably could do a lot of great things for the world, for himself. And apparently he was, an addict. He's been through crack and all these things and whatever. So we don't know the details of that, but it's like you'd think that he would want to turn his life around, apparently, but apparently not. Newsweek subscription offers, hundreds of supporters turned out for Trump's mass rally that was held in the early afternoon Thursday after the North Carolina event. Trump is slated to head in Miami, Florida for a town hall with NBC. Biden will have a town hall event at the same time hosted by ABC after the second of 3 presidential debates that was supposed to be held Thursday night was canceled. For more than an hour, Trump riffed to the cheering North Carolina crowd on a variety of issues, including the Supreme Court nominee, and that was crazy. I didn't realize that they had to go through 4 days of this whole 4 days of vetting. I mean, which is good. I mean, it's like you want to do that, but it's like for all the people to attack her, it's like for her religious beliefs. I mean, it's like you can. They've shown their cards all too often, and religion aside, I mean, that's what. Not religion aside. I mean, that's what that's what the United States was founded on. It's a God-fearing country. It's a country that believes that there's someone that's going to hold us accountable. And for anyone to not believe in God and say these things, you believe in someone. You don't believe in anybody holding you accountable, right? So you shouldn't be held accountable for your actions. All these things. So anyway, but he kept his most acerbic, I guess that's acerbic remarks for the Biden family in New York Post reports. Mocking Hunter Biden, Trump said in an affected voice, "Dad, say hello. And by the way, Dad, give them everything they want." This could only happen to me, Trump said, laughing and apparently referring to the timing of the reports coming with 19 days left in the campaign. This is the craziest race. The initial New York Post story centered on a April 2015 email that Hunter Biden allegedly received. Anyway, we're not going to get into the details of that because it's like, once again, people are being shut down. Like entire channels are being shut down for supposed misinformation. I'm not going to, claim one way or the other because I'm fearful of my channel being shut down because people are being shut down for talking about this. And so I'm not going to because I do want to stay on YouTube. I love the truth as much as I love as I love the United States of America. Let's move to the next piece. Just going to do a bunch of things here. That is the wrong one. I wanted to do this one. This is the most... Okay, man's eye exploded after LAPD shot him with less lethal round as crowds celebrated Lakers NBA win. Interesting. At least 3 men were hospitalized with injuries after Los Angeles police officers struck them with less lethal projectiles as they celebrated the Lakers NBA championship win. The LA Times reported that William Gonzalez, 22, underwent extensive reconstructive surgery after a hard foam projectile fired by the police struck him in the right eye, shattering the socket in downtown Los Angeles on Sunday night. Doctors told the newspaper that the projectile exploded Gonzalez's eyeball and he will never see out of it again. Dr. David Samini, one of the doctors who operated on Gonzalez California Hospital Medical Center, said the best case scenario would be that Gonzalez gets to keep the eye with his head without any sight, but he says that the eye will likely have to be removed. Another man who was shot in the mouth lost 8 teeth and part of his lip, his family told the Times. Part-time photographer Manuel Barrientos had stepped out of the street to take a picture with his camera, and that's when he felt something hit him. Yeah, I haven't seen the video, so I'm not going to even say anything. When he looked down, he saw a little piece of his lip on the floor, and he was dripping blood from his mouth. A third man who asked to remain anonymous told the newspaper he was completely blindsided when he was struck in the face while watching the celebrations with his partner. And, this could very well be just like a horrible actions of the police. He said that they had been avoiding the particularly rowdy revelers in the area. The 34-year-old man who sustained a fractured bone around his eye and a laceration on his right cheek, and he is considering litigation under the LAPD. Current policy, foam rounds are only supposed to be aimed at the belt line of someone who presents the threat to officers, never at people's heads or necks. The Times reported they shouldn't be fired into crowds at people running anyway. The LAPD has been contacted for comment. In a news release on Monday, the police department said that 3 people were taken to hospitals after being injured by the so-called less lethal munitions fired by officers on Sunday. 8 officers were treated for injuries, police said. Officers made dozens of arrests after declaring an unlawful assembly after huge numbers of Lakers fans arrived in downtown LA to celebrate the team winning for its, it's actually amazing that they're actually celebrating, because, it's like, that's great. I mean, I love basketball. I played it most of my younger life. And it's a shame to see what's happened to the industry, to the NBA in general. That's just my opinion. I think people just want to get out of politics when they're watching sports. Senators hear from witnesses on final day of Barrett confirming hearings. The final day of Supreme Court confirmation hearings on Thursday will not feature Judge Amy Coney Barrett herself. Instead, senators will hear outside witnesses testify on the judge's character and qualifications. Barrett, 48, was nominated by President Trump to succeed the late Associate Bader Ginsburg. She made it through 2 days of grueling questions by members of the Senate Judiciary Committee without drama of major gaffes. The senator will now hear from experts, including representatives from the American Bar Association. The lawyer group has rated Barrett with the top rating of well qualified. The panel will also consist of lawyers and judges, including retired D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Justice Thomas Griffith. Senate Democrats have also invited a mother of 7-year-old twins with multiple pre-existing conditions, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I didn't watch all of those, but I heard that they were kind of brutal. And, it's good to vet someone, of course, and I hope that I think she'll do a good job. It seems like she has good morals and good... I think it's wonderful that we're getting her appointed and getting that out of the way, because this madness is just going on forever. Okay, let's see. C-SPAN suspends Steve Scully after he admits to lying about Twitter hacking. C-SPAN placed political editor Steve Scully on administrative leave Thursday after he made false statements about his Twitter account being hacked. Scully, in a statement, admitted that he lied about making a statement to Anthony Scaramucci, a former aide to President Donald Trump, who became a critic. "I am totally responsible for the post," he said. He was selected to moderate a now canceled town hall event with Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden, but a Twitter post last week sent from his account indicated that he reached out to Scaramucci before later saying that he was hacked. Should I respond to Trump, is what he wrote to Scaramucci's account. Ignore. He is having a hard time. Some more bad stuff about to go down, Scaramucci replied. So anyway, that's just kind of funny. Out of frustration, I sent a brief tweet addressed to Scaramucci. Scully said in a statement the next morning, when I saw that this tweet had created a new controversy, I falsely claimed that my Twitter account had been hacked. It's crazy to see. Let's look at this. This is nuts. Let's read this stuff. So, I mean, we've been saying that free speech is under attack for the last 2-3 years. I mean, it's funny to think that, all this time, and I'm sure it's been going on for longer than what what's been actually in the public eye and what is being exposed. I mean, they've been, it's like, it's just insane to even think about this. I mean, Jack, if Trump gets, if my good sir, Jack, if Trump doesn't get reelected, or even if he gets reelected and you shut his account, people are going to leave Twitter, and your platform will tank, and you will lose lots and lots of money. And it's obvious that you don't care about these things. As usual, get woke, go broke under his own guys. I'm sure he has investments and other things that he can fall back on, but like his own employees and all, that's the other thing, is that he, of course, doesn't care about that. Of course he doesn't. He says that he does, but he doesn't care about his own people. For him to allow his own business to invade, and my small tiny business here is, unfortunately, it's biased because I'm biased, and unfortunately you click on my videos for an opinion. Twitter locks Trump's campaign account over Hunter Biden post. I'm going to read that again. Twitter locks Trump campaign account over Hunter Biden post. For them to be so ridiculous. I mean, for Trump for him to not say anything here. I mean, he's just focused on winning the election, but it's just funny how they feel so entitled that they want to shut down the president. I called this, by the way. Trump's re-election campaign said Thursday that Twitter suspended its official account, claiming that Team Trump's post about Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden and his son Hunter is a violation of its policy. Your account has been locked, the Twitter message said. What happened? We've determined that this account violated the Twitter rules, specifically for violating our rules against posting private information. The account was active and posting on Twitter again hours after campaign officials first said it had been locked. The original campaign post, which Trump campaign spokesman Tim Murtaugh said triggered Twitter to take action, was apparently taken down. The incident came less than 3 weeks from the November 3rd election. You may not publish or post other people's private information without their express authorized permission, the Twitter message read, according to Mike Hahn, the director of social media for Trump 2020 campaign. The post said that Joe Biden is a liar who had been ripping off our country for years, echoing statements that President Trump has made about his Democratic presidential rival. It had cited a claim from a New York Post article about Hunter Biden's emails, which Biden's campaign has denied. Twitter has suspended Team Trump for posting a video calling Joe Biden a liar who has been ripping off our country for years. Your account has been locked. What happened? Blah, blah, blah. So Murtaugh, Trump's campaign's communications director, said the move is tantamount to election interference on behalf of Twitter. This is election interference, plain and simple. For Twitter to lock the main account of the campaign for the president of the United States is a breathtaking level of political meddling and nothing short of an attempt to rig the election, he said. Joe Biden's Silicon Valley pals are aggressively blocking negative news stories about their guy and preventing voters from accessing important information. This is like something from communist China or Cuba, not the United States of America. That just once again shows you their cards. Jack Dorsey, what's his name? Zuckerberg. These guys do want to censor your speech. They want to control how life is. They want to I've said this many times, I'll say it one more time. These people, Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg, these people have been able, all the Silicon Valley people, they have been able to rise up in a capitalist society that benefited capitalism. and they want to remove it once they have achieved that goal. Once they have achieved the American dream, they want to remove the ability of you. They want to remove the ability of you being of your access to that American dream. That's what that is totalitarianism in a nutshell. This is chilling censorship of a sitting president's re-election campaign 19 days from an election, plain and simple. Andrew Clark, Trump's campaign rapid response director, noted in another statement. Twitter is interfering in the election and trying to stop the public from learning damning information about the Biden family's corruption at all cost. But our campaign and our supporters will not be silenced. On Wednesday night, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey responded to complaints from the New York Post and others that an article related to Hunter Biden's emails was blocked. Our communication around our actions on the New York Post article was not great, and blocking URL sharing via tweet or DM with zero context as to why we're blocking unacceptable, Dorsey wrote on Twitter on Wednesday. Twitter has not responded to a request for comment about the Trump team account, but a Twitter spokesperson told Business Insider that accounts that post materials or links which violate its hacked materials policy may be required to delete those tweets. They did not elaborate. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany's personal account was also locked on Wednesday for an unspecified amount of time after she shared the New York Post article. Wow. We're seeing it on a large scale. President Trump suggested that Twitter should face legal action over the incident. So terrible that Facebook and Twitter took down the story of smoking gun emails related to the sleepy Joe Biden and his son, Hunter, in the New York Post. It is only the beginning for them. There is nothing worse than a corrupt politician. Repeal Section 230, the president wrote in Twitter on Wednesday. Publishers can be held liable for any content they post, while social media platforms are protected via Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which states that no provider or user of an interactive computer service. I'm going to start that again. Publishers can be held liable for any content they post, while social media platforms are protected via Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which states that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. That's definitely puts things into perspective and helps you to think about it. The incident and others like it prompted Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee to announce they would be voting to issue a subpoena to Dorsey for a hearing set for next Friday. This is election interference, and we are 19 days out of an election. And Senator Ted Cruz so he actually, I saw a video just recently where he is going to be indicting Thursday, adding that Judiciary Committee will issue a subpoena to Jack Dorsey for next Friday, October 23rd. So that's going to be a big day, the October 23rd. They will hold a vote on issuing a subpoena. Trump calls for Section 230 repeal after Facebook, Twitter curb distribution of Biden's story. President Donald Trump on Wednesday criticized a decision by Facebook and Twitter to limit the distribution of a New York Post story about Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son Hunter, and called for repeal of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. So terrible that Facebook and Twitter took down the story of smoking gun. Trump wrote in a tweet referring to the story about Hunter Biden. The story centered on an alleged documents and photographs from hard drive obtained, blah, blah, blah. So we know that anyway. Investigations by the press during impeachment and even two Republican-led Senate committees whose work was decreed as not legitimate and political by a GOP colleague have all reached the same conclusion that Joe Biden carried out official U.S. policy toward Ukraine and engaged in no wrongdoing. Trump administration officials have arrested to these facts under oath. Biden campaign spokesman Andrew Bates said Investigations by the press during impeachment and even by two Republican-led Senate committees whose work was decreed as not legitimate and political by the GOP colleague have all reached the same conclusion, that Joe Biden carried out official U.S. policy toward Ukraine and engaged in no wrongdoing. Trump administration officials have attested to these facts under oath. Biden campaign spokesman Andrew Bates said in a statement to these outlets. In his tweet, Trump called for a repeal of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which shields tech companies from liability for content posted on their platforms while letting them moderate it. While publishers can be held liable for any content they post, social media platforms are protected by Section 230, which states that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. You are such a bastard, man. This guy is a bastard. The law currently allows companies to block or screen content in good faith if they consider it obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessive, violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. But in recent years, the legal protections afforded have been used to shield online platforms and engage in censoring or political conduct. Attorney General William Barr wrote in September letter to Vice President Mike Pence and House Speaker Pelosi. Barr announced a legislative proposal to modernize and clarify the immunity that Section 230 affords to social media companies. They no longer function as simple forums for posting third-party content, but use sophisticated algorithms to suggest and promote content and connect users. Platforms can use this power for good to promote free speech and the exchange of ideas, or platforms can abuse this power by censoring lawful speech and promoting certain ideas over others, Barr wrote. Some of the proposals include replacing vague terms like otherwise objectionable with more specific language, promoting terrorism, promoting violent extremism, promoting self-harm, and unlawful in order to prevent broad interpretations of the law. The legislative proposals also limit immunity to online platforms who do not abide by its own terms of service and public representations by failing to consistently apply their terms of service. The tech industry has been resisting efforts to revamp or repeal Section 230, saying that the DOJ proposals could limit people's ability to express themselves online. Small community listservs, religious forums, and anyone else who hosts and moderates online content would face new legal Small community listservs, religious forums, and anyone else who hosts and moderates online content would face new legal restrictions and requirements on every content decision. The Internet Association Deputy General Counsel Elizabeth Banker said in a statement, current good faith moderation efforts that remove things like misinformation, platform manipulation, and cyberbullying would all result in lawsuits under this proposal. Even commenting on another individual's post could open an online forum or individual to a flood of litigation. This proposal won't make Americans safer online, and instead it will fundamentally limit online services. Ability to create communities for people to express themselves. The Internet Association is a lobbying group that represents internet companies. Section 230 has been put under the spotlight in recent years after lawmakers on both sides of the aisles raised concerns over the way internet companies handle disinformation and hate speech. Several lawmakers have made various proposals to amend the law, including Senator Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley, both in Florida and Missouri, both Republicans in Florida and Missouri, whose limiting Section 230 immunity to Good Samaritans Act claims to hold internet companies accountable for censoring political speech and hiding content created by competitors. Trump signed an executive order on May 28th directing federal agencies to develop regulations that protect users from unfair and deceptive content restriction practices employed by online platforms. Crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. So let's watch this thing here. Let's watch this.
Dressed.
Now, so for anyone who believes that Pelosi has your this person, Pelosi, she shouldn't be reelected. I know that I think it's pretty much impossible to do so at this point, to not reelect her, because everybody thinks she's So the Daily Caller says here, Speaker Pelosi to CNN's Wolf Blitzer when he calls her out for refusing to make the deal. I don't know why you are always an apologist, and many of your colleagues are apologists for Republican positions. So once again, he does actually, Wolf Blitzer, hail to him for calling out for the stimulation package. This is the stimulation package that's been on the table for a while. It's like 1.8 billion, I believe. And of course, Trump's been saying it's ready to go, but Pelosi won't do it. She will not allow this to go through. And as a result, she says in this interview, she's just like, well, we feed them. Well, you're not feeding them now. You're not feeding them now.
In the president's proposal. So when you say to me, why don't you accept theirs? Why don't they accept ours? Our legislation is there to do three things primarily: to honor our workers, honor our heroes, our healthcare workers, our
lying.
Police and fire first responders, our teachers, our transportation, sanitation, food workers.
While we shut the entire country down.
The people who make our lives work. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without them. Many of them have risked their lives.
The people who have made you Lord and master over everything and can control everything without anybody keeping you in check.
Lives, so that to save lives, and now they will lose their jobs because
but they really
let the states go bankrupt.
Excuse me for
let
interrupting,
the states go bankrupt.
Madam Speaker, but
let the states go bankrupt.
They really need the money right now, and even members of
I understand
your own,
that,
but even members of your own caucus, even members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker.
Not that I personally am, for tons of money being, shot out, but anyway.
Want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman wrote
1.8 trillion. Excuse me. I said billion. 1.8 trillion.
For example, let me just
1.8 trillion being ejaculated onto the American people.
Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat. And he just said this. He said, people in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal, put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know.
I think it's brilliant. How these are Democrats calling her out.
Why you're always an apologist, and many of your colleagues apologists for the Republican position.
We're not being apologists. He's literally crying out for the American people.
Ro Khanna, that's nice. That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now because people need help.
But you won't do it because it would give Trump a win.
Now. But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it.
She shows her cards right there. You showed us your hand. The only reason why you're not doing it is because you don't want Trump to have a win before the election. He's going to win anyway.
Mail that we should not be doing all.
If Biden wins, we know not to. If Biden wins by popular vote or otherwise, we know not to trust the voting system.
We can tell people pay the rent, put food on the table to enhance benefits.
Exactly, pay the rent, put food on the table. You're depriving people from that.
they don't lose their jobs.
All the left-wing cities are doing that. They're shutting their cities down and not allowing people to work.
If they're state and local, we're talking about the consequences of a pandemic.
The consequences that you continuously spew out of your face, the consequences that is the latrine soup that you continue to spew out of your face.
The symptoms of a problem that the president refuses to address.
The symptoms of the problem that you're refusing to address.
Is the coronavirus.
We know
that is
we
the
know
coronavirus.
the problem out there, but there are millions of Americans who have lost their jobs. They can't pay the rent.
For all you feminists that just blindly follow this person, do you not see that she's doing something wrong? Do you just assume that everything she does is right because she's a woman? Like, for you to be so cardboard, you're literally this deep. Your brain goes this deep. You are literally just everything is at face value. There's no depth to anything. You have absolutely nothing. I mean, if you believe this person is a good person because she's a woman and you hate me because I'm a man, you are completely one-dimensional. You are a piece of cardboard.
Their kids need the food.
That's right. And that's what we're trying to get done.
$1.8 trillion. And the president just tweeted, stimulus, go big or go home. He wants even more right now. So why not work out a deal with him? And don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good.
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with
the wrong with the enemy of the right? Oh my gosh, this person. She is an absolute nut job. All right, Pelosi. I did a video on the drunken Pelosi years ago, and back when that happened, literally 2 years ago, and that was the one video that I've got a kind of a strike on. Let's continue here. Look at this douchebag. Look at this douche. Two with Biden campaign test positive for COVID, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if this is worth. No, this is. It will keep a robust and aggressive schedule of virtual campaign activities to reach voters all across the country during this time. She will return to in-person campaigning, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? It's all a lie. All right. Let's do this one. Computer store owner describes handing over alleged Hunter Biden laptop to FBI. The owner of computer repair shop who obtained a laptop that allegedly contained emails detailing an opportunity for a meeting between former Vice President Joe Biden and the top Ukrainian business executive found disturbing material after the New York Post published disputed emails that were found on Hunter Biden's laptop, which the email had denied. John Paul MacIsaac, the owner of the shop, told Fox News that he can't be 100% sure it was Hunter Biden couldn't be 100% sure it was Hunter Biden who dropped off the computer. The shop owner said he contacted FBI out of concern, but he didn't elaborate. His claim that it may have been Hunter Biden hasn't been substantiated. The New York Post published the purported emails on Wednesday, and also posted several photos that appear to be Hunter Biden with his shirt off, smoking cigarettes, and one that appears showing him sleeping next to drug paraphernalia. The newspaper said that former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani obtained the laptop and released the emails. An email dated from 2015 reportedly showed an exchange between Hunter and the executive at Burisma Holdings, a firm that was set up by Ukrainian oligarch and has long been accused of corruption by Ukrainian officials, as Hunter sat on the board of the company. In the alleged email, Vadim Pozharsky, an advisor to the board of Burisma, thanked Hunter Biden for introducing him to then Vice President Joe Biden. Biden was accused of pressuring the Ukrainian government to fire a prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, who was investigating Burisma, although Biden later denied those claims and said that Obama administration had sought his ouster. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving an opportunity to meet your father and spent some time together. It's reality. It's really an honor and pleasure, the email reads. Biden's campaign released a statement to media outlets saying the meeting never took place. Investigations by the press during impeachment and even by two Republican-led Senate committees whose work was decreed as not legitimate and political by a GOP colleague have all reached the same conclusion, that Joe Biden carried out official U.S. policy toward Ukraine and engaged in no wrongdoing. The Biden campaign spokesman Andrew Bates said in a statement on Wednesday, Trump administration officials have attested to these facts under oath. Isaac, who said social media posts and that indicate he is a supporter of President Trump, told Fox, "I don't know what to say or what I'm allowed to say. I know that I saw stuff, and I was concerned. I was concerned that somebody might want to come looking for this stuff eventually, and I wanted it out of my shop." Isaac said a man who believes was Hunter Biden dropped off 3 laptops in April 2019. Only one of the laptops was salvageable, and Isaac said he saw disturbing material. He said that the customer didn't return for the laptop within 90 days and he couldn't get in contact with them. If I'm somebody that has no journalistic ability, no detective ability, or investigative ability, and I was able to find stuff in a short period of time, somebody else should have been able to find something to show. Anyway, this is nuts. Okay, so here we go. Twitter and Facebook's assault on freedom of the press. Facebook and Twitter have taken extraordinary steps against the New York Post over an article about the son of former Vice President Joe Biden. This is the first time that the social media companies have taken direct action in a news article by a major U.S. publisher. New York Post is among the top 5 newspapers by circulation. Notably, the actions by Facebook and Twitter appear arbitrary, without consistency or good reason. Facebook communications employee Andy Stone said in a statement that the platform was reducing its distribution of the Post article, noting that the action came before the article had been fact-checked, however dubious the fact-checkers themselves may be. This raises questions about the basis of Facebook's move to limit the reach of and effectively censor the article. Twitter went further than Facebook, adding warning labels to tweets and prohibiting users from posts. Twitter went further than Facebook, adding warning labels to tweets and prohibiting users from posting the links to the post article, both publicly and in direct messages, and locking out some users who did, including the New York Post itself and White House Press Secretary Kelly McEnany. McEnany. Sorry. After scrambling to provide a reason for the censorship, Twitter later argued the Post article violated its policies for personal and private information. And there's a whole thing I read on that. It's interesting to know what a Section 230 is. This is really interesting because it protects them from, it protects all these guys. It protects all these tech giants. The Post article violated its policies on personal and private information, the violations of its hacked materials policy. In a separate statement, Twitter said that the platform prohibits the use of our service to distribute content obtained without authorization. Does this mean that going forward, all media articles containing leaked documents will be banned by the platform? And will this standard be evenly applied to all media organizations? By Twitter's own standards, some of the most consequential journalism ever produced, which often relied on leaked documents, would have no place on its platform. Twitter and Facebook's rules are so dangerously vague that the platforms can choose to censor content as they see fit. It has been no secret that the two companies have grown in size and influence in recent years, so it has their control over public discourse. And so, I mean, my argument that's a year and a half, 2 years ago was simply this. When they were first talking about free speech being censored, it's like 80% probably of most people's discourse, of anyone's communication, happened through an app of some kind now, right? I'd say 80 to 90, maybe even 90% of all communication now, especially since they want to shut things down and make everybody isolated in their own houses and just scared of everything. They want to perpetuate this insanity. So much of what we see is communicated electronically. At what point do they stop censoring our own ability to speak? I mean, this is really getting nasty. It's really getting bad. And they've shown it. It's like, we all know, everybody knows you lean left, Mark Zuckerberg. Everybody knows you lean left, like, because you've shown your cards, you've shown who you censor and who you don't censor. And it's obvious. It's so obvious. You're people who you've, like I said, I've said this a million times, I'll say it again. You've achieved the capitalist dream. You've achieved the American dream, which is what made America achieve these great things with these phones and everything, these amazing things that we have, were tiny little computers that we carry around with us. Plug us into a network and we're able to communicate worldwide from our phone. And this is something that you created, that you helped create. Wonderful. But you're allowing a totalitarian regime to reign without being checked. This is awful. Twitter and Facebook's rules are so dangerously vague that the platforms can choose to censor content as they see fit. It has been no secret that the two companies have grown in size and influence in recent years, so has their control over public discourse. It would be their right to do so as a publisher, but instead Twitter and Facebook have vehemently denied being publishers and instead argue that they are open platforms, giving them protections under the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Facebook and Twitter have now crossed the line so publicly and blatantly that, just like the media they censor, they have effectively become publishers and should be held to the same standards of accountability. You know, and then there's this whole thing with Amazon censoring speech. You know, Amazon is, I mean, they're, speaking of Fahrenheit 451, Amazon is like basically become that. They become the Fahrenheit 451. They're censoring books. Some books can't even, I mean, there's several articles that I read and videos that I've seen about these there was this one video, people in India people in India who were, living paycheck to paycheck, and they published it. They had this whole thing going. They had published these books, and they were selling these books, and they were doing great. They understood the algorithms. They studied it hard. They worked hard at it, and they were successful. And Amazon shut them down, man. They're the real Fahrenheit 451. Let's see if we can. Let's jump to. So this article is amazing. For if you get into an argument with a lefty, and in the 90s when I was in my early 20s, I lean left because I loved the environment. I loved the outdoors. I went camping. I went, we went outside all the time. We went hiking and we did all kinds of things. I was a Boy Scout and all these things. And I did a lot of stuff outdoors. The outdoors was beautiful to me, especially where I live. I live near some beautiful outdoor places. Anyways, executive order on establishing the 1 trillion trees intra-agency council. I'm going to read that again. Executive order on establishing the 1 trillion trees intra-agency council. And this was put out. This was an executive order that was put out by Trump. Okay. Just the other day. This was like yesterday. By authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. As I declared in executive order in December 21st, 2018, promoting active management of America's forests, rangelands, and other federal lands to improve conditions and reduce wildlife risk. It is the policy of the United States to promote healthy and resilient forests, rangelands, and other federal lands by actively managing them through partnerships with the states, tribes, communities, nonprofit organizations, and private sector. Our nation is home to hundreds of millions of acres of federal, state, tribal, and private forests and woodlands, which produce tremendous positive economic and environmental effects throughout our economy. Recreational and educational visits to national forests make substantial contributions to our nation's physical and emotional health, as well as to our gross domestic product, all while supporting thousands of full and part-time jobs. Our nation's forests and woodlands provide valuable environmental benefits as well, including by serving a wildlife habitats and supporting air and water quality for all Americans. Forests and woodlands sequester atmospheric carbon, and according to the Forest Service, 180 million people in over 68,000 communities rely on our nation's forested watersheds to capture and filter their drinking water. These facts demonstrate how our nation has taken advantage of tremendous economic and environmental benefits associated with the tree growth and forestation. By advancing federal policies conducive to these practices under my leadership, the United States has promoted greater use of natural-based solutions to address global challenges. So apparently we lost what was it? We lost the deforestation has basically doubled in the last 20 years. I think we lost something to the tune of let me just quickly check. Let me quickly check my
got a lot of followers, obviously. So
they talked about of their golden. There's things that
half the time,
if I'm and the best is that. So
please forgive me.
I'm grateful that the president
Trying to find this.
I'm so to
because unless some
Where did it go?
buyer beware.
on I team that
cameras that for us, because it will actually follow you and get to the truth.
I think if it never held up very damning information of the
Thing, that's probably other 5%. You know what that does, Anna?
Okay.
Except there are no. When he first went in there,
community, a lot of slide feeling,
except there are no
feeling, John, that once President Trump gets reelected, he's going to come out even tougher.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. We have seen nothing yet. There is no question. When he says the best is your question, when he's announced to Davos that he was going to get behind the 1 trillion tree global deforestation program. Now, it was the only thing in Davos that got him a standing ovation, because of course Davos is like Soros's little club, and basically, but this is something that my wife and this is why I was initially introduced to the president, because we basically have been campaigning to launch a global reforestation campaign to plant trees. Let me tell you the significance of this. This increases the tree cover of planet Earth by 25%. Right now, there are 3 trillion trees on the planet. There used to be 6.
Okay, so according to this, there used to be 6 trillion trees on the planet. Now there's only 3. There's only 3 trillion trees on the planet.
This will increase the tree cover by 25%. You know?
And this will increase the tree cover by 25%. That actually fixes all the Green New Deal stuff. That fixes all the problems.
That does, Anna. That makes President Trump the greatest environmentalist that has ever walked planet Earth.
Boy, would the left hate to say that.
Well, this executive order makes President Trump, remember this, because if you want to drive a leftist absolutely crazy, okay, he has announced an executive order establishing the 1 trillion trees interagency council. Wow. It makes President Trump
So, according to a lot of people who are environmentalists and everything, they are saying that this is actually this is it. This is literally the greatest thing to do for the environment. Period. So, I mean, we're having that's all you got to do, just replant the trees. That's all. I mean, that's we're talking about carbon dioxide and oxygen and all these things. That's all exchanged through trees, right? United States 1 trillion trees interagency council. There is hereby established a United States 1 trillion trees interagency council. The council shall be charged with developing, coordinating, and promoting federal government and interactions with the initiative with respect to tree growing, restoration, and conservation, and with coordinating with key stakeholders to help advance the initiative. The council shall remain independent from the initiative. The council shall be chaired by the Secretary of the Interior and the Secretary of Agriculture by their designees. The assistant to the president for economic policy and assistant to the president and deputy chief of staff for political coordination on their designees shall serve as vice chairs. Anyways, this is amazing. Good stuff there. So once again, this is something, if you get into an argument with anyone who leans left, ask them if they care about the environment. Probably not these days. Like, it used to be something where they did used to care about the environment. That was a big thing that they cared about. But anyway, just funny stuff. Trump says he's ready to sign. Let's see. Trump says that he's ready to sign the stimulus bill. Donald Trump said again on October 15th that Congress should pass stimulus legislation in response to the CCP virus pandemic. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi couldn't care less about the American people or the great American worker. She should approve needed stimulus now. Trump wrote on Twitter, most other Dems agree. Republicans are ready to go. I am ready to sign. In an interview with Fox News on October 14th, Trump said that he wanted to pass a stimulus deal larger than $1.8 trillion bill that the White House proposed last week. He said there's a chance of the bill being passed before the November election. Over the past several months, Trump and Pelosi have blamed one another for failing to come to an agreement on stimulus legislation amid the pandemic. Numerous governors and mayors have implemented shutdown orders in a bid to curb the spread of the disease, resulting in significant nationwide job losses. So this is so ridiculous that it puts me to think it's like, I think that she's so fearful that this will actually just win in the election. Like, if you know what I mean? Like, if I think maybe part of me thinks that that's what will happen. He'll just win the election. If this, if he was able to do this, but she's going to stop him. She's going to stop him from doing this. And it's like, he'll win anyway, but we'll still suffer the repercussions of all the mail-in voting for the next, however many years, we find out. Okay. So we talked about the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden stuff. So in case anybody knows, Project Veritas is one of the best things out there for news and one of the greatest. They're like literally I called them James Bond, basically. It's just, what's going on there? Why won't that? Okay, maybe I have to just go back. Okay, here we go. So, and I've been calling Project Veritas, they're kind of like James Bond in the news, right? They're kind of like James Bond, they're kind of a secret spy type of journalists that are exposing these criminals. Christopher Jacks, chair of Revolution, Will County, Colorado. Let's bring in a better future, and I will knock people down the stairs as long as they don't die to make this happen. This is Christopher Jacks caught on camera by Project Veritas in a clip dated January 9th, 2020. These people are just ridiculous. We are in a world of Lord of the Rings people. This is the world of good versus evil now. Our lives are saturated with having to fight good versus evil. This is what this is. And forgive me for saying so, but I think it leans, this crazy ideology, we got to stop them, resist BS lie is from the left, man. I'm sorry to say it, but that's just where it's coming. A Democratic Party activist in Colorado was recorded as saying that the 2020 is a political revolution and he will lie, cheat, and steal to win. He called it morally acceptable. Once again, they believe they're actually villains, but they believe themselves to be heroes of their own story. Once again, the activist is Christopher Jacks, a leader at our Revolution Will County, Colorado, a local branch of the Our Revolution nonprofit, and spun off the 2016 presidential campaign of Senator Bernie Sanders, of course. And all these people, all these Bernie fans are like, they wanted to burn down the cities. They were the Antifa people who threatened to burn, and they did. I mean, I don't even remember that they actually they were threatening on camera, and this was all going around them talking about burning things down. They threatened it on camera, and they said they were going to. He was identified as a member of the Colorado Democratic Party executive and central committees. In his article published in August on the website of the Will County Democratic Party, the article ceased to be accessible around the same time. A video of Jacks making the comments was released on October 13th by Project Veritas, undercover journalism nonprofit. I am going to do everything morally acceptable to win, he was recorded as saying in a clip dated January 9th. I will lie, I will cheat, I will steal, because that's morally acceptable in this political environment. Absolutely. We are pirates on a pirate ship, and we have a bright future ahead of us, or we have Mad Max. And they don't think for 1 second that they're the ones creating the Mad Max future. Like, you don't even, like, you think that this is, They think they're making things better by being horrible people. I don't want to. I've got an awesome war rig, but I don't want to be driving it around the apocalyptic wasteland. Let's bring in a better future, and I will knock people down the stairs as long as they don't die to make this happen. Jax, the Colorado Democratic Party, the Weld County Democratic Party, and our revolution didn't respond to requests for comment. When ultimately confronted by Veritas founder James O'Keefe, Jax doubled down. Yes, I will lie to people and who lie to us. I will cheat people who cheat us. I stand by everything that I said. He said he couldn't answer what type of cheating would be done for this election. He also didn't want to get into what positions he held in the Democratic Party, though he said he was a member. In another Veritas clip, which appeared to be taken at an Our Revolution rally, Jax boasted about holding positions on a number of Democratic Party committees. He said that our Revolution members had a comfortable majority on the party executive committee in Weld County. He said 12 of 14 members that go to state Democratic Party. We are our Revolution members, and almost our entire delegation to Colorado's 4th Congressional District Committee are members too. Oh my gosh. Let's go free in ICE and give them the guns. Let's go free in ICE and give them the guns. Veritas said that they followed Jax for some time. Clips show him explaining his position on political violence on multiple occasions. Jax indicated that a Trump 2020 victory could prompt left-wing militants to try starting a civil war. He seemed to back the idea. I'm going to be in my garage right next to my gun safe all night long November 3rd because that's how seriously I take this stuff, he said. In another instance, he said, when it comes to civil war violence type stuff, there are always military guns like former guys. They stand up for the right thing. When that time comes, then we've got to get those types of people involved. In this situation, he backed the idea to arm people detained by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. If it comes down to that, hell yeah, man, let's go free people in ICE and give them the guns and be like, here you go, stand up. You've got a grudge. Let's go do it. He praised the anarcho-communist group Antifa, whose followers have been behind much of the rioting in cities across America. I do think that there needs to be a militant group, and I do love Antifa for that reason. I love that you always have to have somebody that's willing to hold up the flag and say, nope, this is the line, and I say in the sand, and we're the ones holding that line. Move this out of the way. Power by intimidation. Jack said the power of unions stems from intimidation based on prior uses of violence. They aren't stabbing like they used to. They don't have to because they used to stab people. His political peers draw power from the same source, he indicated. That's all we've got to say. Guillotines, that's all we've got to say. And then what I'm proposing, option 2, slicey boys. What are your choice? Which one do you want? When he asked what he meant by guillotines, he explained, we have power. Populist uprisings have power because we used to kill people. Wow. We used to hand people from gas stations. We used to cut off their heads. So we don't have to actually cut heads. We just have to say what we're willing to cut off heads. Like, wow. If former Vice President Joe Biden wins this presidential election, Jax talked about using intimidation to force him to go along with the far left progressive agenda. Joe Biden is presumably left-leaning, and he's got a functioning signing hand. He said, as long as there is progressive legislation that comes across his desk, I am confident that we can occupy his house. We know where he'll live. He indicated that his beef isn't with Republicans only. Half the struggle I have isn't with Republicans. It isn't the right wing. It's the moderates in the Democratic Party killing random Nazis in the street. Like, if political change was to be achieved by violence, he suggested a way to do so would be to orchestrate assassinations of billionaires without claiming responsibility. You've got to get people that are close to billionaires and just random billionaires start turning up dead, and nobody knows what's going on. You do that to 3 or 4 people, enough to say that this is a pattern and this is why. Draw a dollar sign and their desk or whatever you do, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a strategic hit against the 1.1% that's in charge, because that's who it is. It's killing random Nazis in the street, blah, blah, blah. So you do realize that Biden and all these people, they're for the 0.1%, right? Like, that's the problem, is the people think that somehow things will get better by this. So you'll live in maybe a nice house. So when you have your revolution, you kill all people who have money. And then what do you think will happen then? Do you think things won't dry up? Do you think food won't dry up? Do you think money won't dry up? Do you think that we just won't run out of money? And then we just keep printing more money and we keep printing more money. And what happens then? We run out of it. Or we just keep printing. And then the economy tanks so hard because a dollar is worth a penny at that point. I mean, whenever we print money, the dollar loses its value even more. You have more of something, it loses its value. You print money like that, you end up losing. You end up losing everything. And you'll be starving in the street in 5 years after. Because that's who it is, killing random Nazis in the street, random bootlickers. Like, you do realize that Nazis are something that are gone, right? And that's the pathetic part about the left. They're brainwashed into thinking that Nazis are something that are actually real, that are actually part of today's society. And it's just like using an old term just to paint a picture, paint a lying picture, an untruth picture. When asked which billionaires, he said it doesn't matter. I mean, Bezos at the top of the list, he said. Well, Bezos is like in your corner, you idiot. Bezos is a huge he donates a ton of money to the Democratic Party. So you're an absolute shill. You're an absolute shill / conniving bastard, because that's all you care about. All you care about is screwing people over. That's all you care about. Anyway, this is a long podcast. Hope you had fun. I'm going to be uploading clips of this to the main channel. This is just, a farm, so to speak. This is where I'm growing material here and then shooting it over to the Fanatics Film. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.